Jason Brooks, a 27-year-old man, lived in the quiet town of Pine Creek, nestled along the edge of Oregon and surrounded by thick, whispering forests. Known for its stunning natural beauty, Pine Creek had been home to Jason's family for generations. Born and raised there, he worked at the local library and was well-liked by the townspeople, known for his gentle nature and willingness to lend a hand. Jason had always had a special place in his heart for animals, especially dogs. His faithful companion was a German shepherd named Max, whom he got as a puppy 5 years ago. Max was more than just a pet. He had become a real member of Jason's family. Every day after work, Jason and Max went for long walks in the woods, enjoying the beauty of nature in each other's company. One warm summer evening, Jason and Max went for their usual walk. The sun was slowly setting, coloring the sky in shades of orange and pink. The air was filled with the scent of pine trees and blooming wildflowers. Jason walked along a familiar path while Max ran around exploring the surroundings. Suddenly, Max stopped and began sniffing the air. His ears stood straight up and his tail stiffened. Jason noticed his dog's unusual behavior and asked, "What's up, Max? Did you smell something?" The dog whined softly and ran towards a bush. Jason followed him, feeling that something unusual was happening. Pushing through the bushes, Jason saw Max cautiously sniffing something small and fluffy as he got closer. The young man was surprised to find a tiny black fur puppy. The puppy was so small it could easily fit in his hand. It was trembling all over and whining softly, clearly in need of help. Jason gently picked the little creature up. His heart sank with pity for the helpless being. "Poor thing," he whispered. "Where's your mom?" He looked around, hoping to see an adult dog, but there was no one nearby. It was getting dark, and Jason realized he couldn't leave the puppy alone in the forest without thinking too much. Jason decided to take the little one home. He carefully placed it in his jacket pocket and quickly headed back to town. Max walked beside him, occasionally glancing at his owner's pocket, as if guarding the foundling at home. Jason made a temporary nest for the puppy from an old sweater in a cardboard box. He wasn't sure what breed the puppy belonged to, but decided he'd figure that out later. Right now, the most important thing was to feed and warm the helpless creature. Jason spent a sleepless night feeding the little one every 2 hours with a special milk formula for newborn puppies, which he bought. At a 24-hour veterinary pharmacy, Max stayed close to the box, as if he had taken on the role of protector of the tiny foundling. In the morning, Jason called work and took the day off to care for his new ward. He named the little one Charlie, though he still couldn't determine its gender. All day long, Jason read online about how to raise puppies, trying to figure out what breed Charlie belonged to. Days passed, and Charlie grew rather quickly. Jason fully immersed himself in caring for his new pet. He fed Charlie every few hours, monitored his body temperature, and constantly checked if everything was okay. Max also played an active role in caring for the puppy, often lying next to the box, keeping Charlie warm. Over time, Charlie fully opened his eyes and began moving around more actively. At that moment, Jason began to notice that Charlie didn't quite look like an ordinary puppy. He had a long snout and a very flexible body. Charlie's fur was soft and fluffy, but it wasn't like the fur of any dog or cat Jason had ever seen. When Charlie grew enough to climb out of the box, Jason began to notice his surprising agility and curiosity. The puppy could climb into the most unexpected places and squeeze through very narrow gaps. This puzzled Jason even more, and he started suspecting that Charlie might not be a puppy after all. Despite his growing doubts, Jason continued caring for Charlie with the same love and devotion. He set up a special corner for his pet in his apartment with toys, small climbing obstacles, and a cozy sleeping house. Charlie quickly adapted to his new home and became an integral part of Jason's and Max's lives. Every day, Charlie became more active and playful. He loved playing with Max, often climbing on his back or engaging in playful fights. Max treated the unusual puppy with remarkable tenderness, allowing him to do anything and protecting him from any potential dangers. When time passed and Charlie continued to amaze Jason with his abilities, he was incredibly smart, quickly learned to respond to his name, and easily followed simple commands. Yet his behavior often differed from that of regular pets. Charlie could spend hours exploring the apartment, climbing into the most unexpected places, and showing incredible curiosity. One day, Jason invited his friend Mike over to show him Charlie and perhaps get some insight into his origin. Mike was an avid hunter and knew a lot about forest animals. Upon seeing Charlie, Mike whistled in surprise. "What a creature you've got there, Jason. I've never seen anything like it, but that's definitely not a dog or a cat. It could be some kind of exotic species." This comment puzzled Jason even more. He began paying closer attention to Charlie's behavior, noting his unique traits. The pet preferred to sleep during the day and was active at night. He had excellent hearing and smell, as well as an amazing ability to squeeze through the narrowest gaps. Jason decided to seek help from the local veterinarian, Dr. Anderson. He made an appointment and took Charlie to the clinic on the scheduled day. Dr. Anderson carefully examined the animal, measured and weighed it, and took some tests. After the examination, he shook his head in bewilderment. "You know, Jason, I've seen many animals in my practice, but I've never encountered anything like your Charlie. This is definitely not a dog or a cat. It might be some species of Marcellus, but I can't say for sure. We need to conduct further research." This uncertainty only deepened Jason's attachment to Charlie. He realized his pet was special, which made him even more valuable. Jason continued to take care of Charlie, providing him with everything he needed and giving him lots of love and attention. Meanwhile, life in Pine Creek went on as usual. Jason continued working at the library, but now all of his free time was devoted to Charlie and Max. He often took them for walks in the forest where Charlie displayed impressive agility, climbing trees and exploring various burrows. One day during such a walk, an event occurred that made Jason think even more about Charlie's nature. They came across a small clearing where wild rabbits were grazing. Max, as usual, tried to chase them, but Charlie behaved very differently. He instantly crouched, pressed himself to the ground, and began slowly sneaking up on the rabbits, moving with incredible grace and silence. Jason watched this scene in amazement. He had never seen Charlie show hunting instincts before. Just as Charlie was about to pounce on the unsuspecting rabbit, Jason called out to him. The pet stopped immediately and returned to his owner with obvious disappointment. This event made Jason think even more about who Charlie really was. He began studying information about different types of wild animals, trying to find similarities with his pet. However, no description fully matched Charlie. Meanwhile, Jason's unusual pet became a local celebrity. The residents of Pine Creek often stopped to look at Charlie during walks, and many shared their theories about his origin. Some thought he was an exotic breed of cat. Others suggested he might be a baby, black fox, or even a raccoon, but no one could give a definitive answer. Jason decided to seek help from specialists at a zoo in a nearby city. He sent them photos and videos of Charlie, hoping to get some information. A few days later, Jason received a response that made the situation even more mysterious. The zoo specialists were intrigued by Charlie, but couldn't determine his species either. They suggested that Jason bring the pet in for more detailed examination. The idea of taking Charlie to the zoo gave Jason mixed feelings. On one hand, he wanted to know the truth about his pet, but on the other, he feared they might take him away for study or place him in one of the zoo's cages. Jason couldn't imagine his life without Charlie and didn't want to part with him. In the end, Jason decided not to take any action for the time being and to continue caring for Charlie as usual. He reasoned that it didn't matter what species his pet belonged to. The important thing was that they had become a real family months ago, and Charlie continued to grow and develop. He became even more agile and clever. Jason taught him many tricks, which Charlie performed with amazing ease. He could open cabinet doors, bring the things Jason needed, and even help organize books in the library. Library visitors were delighted by Jason's unusual assistant, and many came specifically to see how Charlie skillfully moved books from shelf to shelf or brought the requested additions to readers. One day, a new veterinarian who had recently moved to Pine Creek came to the library. Seeing Charlie, he immediately took an interest in the unusual animal. After a careful examination and several tests, the veterinarian confidently stated that Charlie was a ferret. This news both surprised and delighted Jason. Now that he finally knew who Charlie truly was, Jason could give him the care he deserved. But more importantly, he realized something deeper. It wasn't Charlie's species that mattered, but the bond they had built together. With the truth out in the open, Jason felt a sense of peace. He could now understand his remarkable pet on a whole new level, and he eagerly looked forward to the many adventures ahead with both Charlie and Max by his side.